Ooh, okay, it's official now. Now we're ready to go.
Hey, Commish, I got the email. We're partners. We're an elite duo.
Elite.
You've seen the chatter on X. People are expecting us to bring the heat. I'm feeling strong about it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. When I filmed our confessional yesterday, talking to Pete and the crew, I said, we're not competing against the other touts. We're competing against the limits of what these challenges can be. I think we're going to be held to a high standard. I think people are expecting a lot out of us. And I think it's a dream pairing. I'm excited to see what we can cook up this week.
When I saw he introduced you in my email as Mitchell Daigle, and I was like, who the hell is
I know.
Mitch? That's the Commish. Put some respect on his name. First of all, that's the Commish. And the first thing I thought was, because I'm trying to think, why did they pair us together? And I'm also thinking, like, if I had to work with anybody, it would be the Commish, because I already know he's willing and able to put in the work that is required to make content great.
Yeah. I was thinking about that as well. Like a lot of the other pairings, you see clashing personalities. You see a Cups and a Rambus together, stuff like that. I think for us, you take more of the streaming route. I'm more the edited video kind of content route. So I think we can kind of clash in the way that we produce content. But I think personality-wise, we're going to gel really well. I think we both bring a lot of energy to the table. So yeah, I think that was probably Pete's thoughts on that. But I don't know about you. When I got the email, I saw he gave you your proper name. I saw GoofyChicken. That's all I needed to see. I ignored the rest of the email. I was like, you know what? That's all I needed to see. It's a bye week for us. That's the way I'm seeing it. But we're not taking it easy. We're not kicking our feet back. We're ready to go to work out here.
And what I also like is that you already got a couple of challenges under your belt, man. I am itching to get back out there, because the only way to stay in tip-top shape in this competition is to keep making content. If you're not making content, that's like being a bodybuilder and not lifting in this competition right here.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, it's all about reps at the end of the day. And that's one thing that I'm happy with you, is that you're always producing content, even if it isn't directly related to the show. You're streaming pretty much every day. I'm always seeing GoofyChicken is going live. So I think we both got the on-camera reps, and it'll be fun to see it translate to the video. But yeah, I don't know. So, we can kind of talk a little bit. I think we need to get to know each other a little bit, develop some chemistry. So how did you kind of get your background in the fantasy space, and when did you decide, like, hey, this is kind of where I want to go and this is what I want to do?
Man. So I fell in love with fantasy football 15 years ago, when they used to send you mail in the mail. They send you a package with cutouts of the players' names, and you'd have to put the names on like a trifold board. This was before fantasy had hit the internet, man. So I've been engaged with fantasy that long. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. I love talking fantasy football. All my closest friends, we love talking fantasy football. We're really passionate about it. And then I saw guys online, I won't name any specific names, but I saw guys online making fantasy content. And I said to myself, if I'm going to make any type of content, it's going to be something that I'm passionate about and something that I feel knowledgeable about. Let me throw that question right back at you, man. When did you get into fantasy, and what inspired you to join So You Think You Can Tout?
Yeah. I think it's pretty similar for a lot of people. For me, it was my friend group growing up, and fantasy has kind of been the way that we've stayed connected through the years, as we've all kind of been going through life separately. We're divided out amongst the country now, but we kind of connect together through fantasy football. And that's what I'm passionate about. My name's the Commish. I'm passionate about home leagues. I'm passionate about the connection and the family energy that fantasy football can bring. We're going to be jabbing each other, we're going to be trash talking, but it is all love at the end of the day. What do you remember? For me, I think Arian Foster was the first player I ever drafted. So that's about the range I go back to. I think 106, my first year, Arian Foster was the first player I drafted. Do you remember how you broke in your first player?
The first player that I ever drafted was probably Calvin Johnson.
Ooh, that's a
Yeah,
good one. Yeah.
Calvin Johnson back in probably like '08 or '09 was my first ever pick in fantasy football. I'll never forget it. You know,
Yeah, hey, there's a lot of worse players you could have gone with. I think like one of my first years, Kenyon Drake was a first round pick on the Cardinals when he went from the Dolphins. If that was the first player I ever drafted, that would have been a bad sign for things to come. But yeah, that sounds good. I mean, I can't imagine going before the internet. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I when I first started getting my start, I didn't have my own email. Like I wasn't old enough to make my own email, so I used my mom's email. And let me tell you, going into ESPN mock draft lobbies under a girl's name, you'll grow up really quickly in some of those live chats. It'll put some
Yeah.
skin on your back for sure.
Speaking of live chats, are you one of those people who read the comments? And you know, on X, everybody's commenting. On the Discord, everybody's commenting. Everybody's got an opinion. Half these dudes didn't even make a submission video because they're scared. But they all got opinions.
Yeah, but everyone has a thought at the end of the day, right? Like they're not too afraid to sit behind their avatars and give their thoughts on everyone. I think for me, I do try to stay in tune with what people are saying just because I'm making a lot of content around the show. So I need to think about how other people are thinking. But for me personally, it's about not getting too up or too down based on other people's perceptions. Like personally, I've had some down moments in the show so far. Mayo gave me a low score. And then some good moments. I think, going through this last challenge was a good moment, getting one of the highest scores, so getting some steam online. And it's really hard to stay centered, to not be like, yeah, I'm the man now. Like, all right, here we go. And I think you probably feel the same way, like getting the high Mayo score, getting the high score through the first round. It's easy to, talk to yourself and be like, yeah, I'm running this stuff. But at the end of the day, we got to stay grounded, keep our nose down and continue going to work.
Yeah, man, I had to shut off the noise, man, and just keep making my content because, people are really high on GoofyChicken Fantasy as a prospect for this competition. But to be honest with you, I haven't done anything yet, right?
Yeah.
Only thing I've done so far is make a 1 minute and 30-second submission video, right?
Yeah, I feel like you have such a magnetic personality, though, that it's hard. No matter what you're doing, sometimes you'll just throw a fishing video onto the timeline and people are like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, man. I'm going to be watching. I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. Like, it's so hard not to gravitate towards your energy that you bring whenever you're on camera. So I think you have that going for you. Like, you have a lot of different directions that you could go. How did you decide specifically on streaming? And then I guess mostly best ball for you. Did you fall in love with best ball?
I fell in love with best ball, but when it comes to streaming, man, I tried recording and doing the whole recording and doing the whole editing and making sure your thumbnail is perfect. But once I hit that live button and just went for it, no editing, no scripting, just straight going for it, being yourself in the moment, interacting with people in the chat, I'd never go back to doing anything recorded, man. If I'm doing anything in the content space, it's going to be streaming every 9 times out of 10 for me.
Yeah, and that's got to be super fulfilling, seeing your audience grow over time. Like, I'm sure when you first started streaming, you had almost no one in there, maybe 1 to 2 people in the chat. Right. And now the live chat is going constantly. And you're like, hey, I got to focus on my draft, but I also got to keep up with the people on the side to make sure I'm pouring back into my community. Yeah. Do you ever have a hard time keeping up with the chat as you're drafting, or is it kind of like natural for you at this point?
When I'm live streaming, my number one focus is to keep up with that chat because people in the chat are in the chat to engage with you. If you're not engaging with your chat and you're just drafted, you're not giving them the experience that they are looking for, right?
Right, exactly.
They're not in there to see you draft. They're in there to talk to you, right?
Right.
And I have noticed that, and I truly feel that my drafts in regards to best ball have been slacking little bit. I don't feel like I'm drafting as well as when I'm just drafted on my couch, on my phone, completely locked in. So it'll be interesting to see the data this year in regards to how my best ball drafts have been going compared to when I was just just me and my iPhone drafting. And another thing about streaming live drafts is you have people in your streams drafting with you. So they're in your stream so that they can draft with you. And some of those people are in there drafting with you either because they think they can get an advantage or they think you don't know what you're talking about. It's one of the two.
Yeah, that's kind of like the premise of the entire show. Like Pete, I think when he came up with the idea, it was like everyone online thinks they're better than the current touts. Like this is an opportunity for people to prove it, and that's the same with people in the live chat. They're like, "Oh, GoofyChicken's on. This is some people are like, this is a soft lobby. Let me hop in and show them what I can do." Do you track the drafts that you do online versus offline? Like that would be fun to go back to at the end of the year.
I haven't, but it's still early in the best ball seat summer. So I am actually going to start saying, okay, I drafted. If I draft with a host, like we co-stream together, I'll say, okay, I drafted this with this guy. But sometimes I go individually and I don't log that I did this on stream. But I can almost guarantee it ain't going to be as good on stream as it is me just by myself because I'm not, like I said, I'm focused on the audience, trying to build the audience.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the right direction to go. Do you do slow drafts at all, or are you a fast draft only?
I'm a fast draft only. I really don't get too much into slow drafts, just because I'm streaming. I need action in the stream.
yeah, you need everything to develop quickly. What do you think? What do you think about best ball this year? Do you think like is the board kind of laid out in a way that you like, or is this a difficult year for you personally? The way things are aligned?
I always say to my community, running backs, get your money back. So I'm heavy on drafting running backs first. Two running backs in the first 3 rounds. And the problem this year is that everybody's doing that.
Doing that. Yeah.
Everybody.
Last year was your year. Last year or the year before when everyone was going wide receiver early, that's where you could make your money.
Everybody was doing that, but even since everybody is zigging, I'm not going to zag. I'm going to zig with them. If you go running back, we go zig together, and then we going to battle it out for those wide receiver 2s, wide receiver 3s later on in the draft.
I love it. You're standing on business.
Yeah, and hopefully if the wide receivers have a huge year this year, next year will be my year again because I ain't changing my strategy.
I love that. So what do you think, like, all right, so going from here, if you were to win the contest, like, let's say, you are hosting a show with Pete, what kind of content do you think you would be interested in making on Pete's channel?
Best ball with a dash of culture.
Ooh, okay.
Where we get into topics other than just best ball and football. Where we talk about football, but we also talk about the TMZ headlines about football. It all relates to football, but there's some things that's going outside of the gridiron that can be talked about as well. So it would be football and culture to really get that chat going.
Yeah, for sure.
And not, sorry to cut you off, and not only to get that chat going, because when you combine football and you combine the culture of football, Stephon Diggs, Cardi B, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, then you have the other 50% of this world that are interested, the women.
Right. Hey, bro, that is the gold mine. If you can combine those two worlds, you're cracking the code.
Bro, if you can get the women, because right now ain't nobody cracked that code yet.
No, it's harder than curing cancer to get women into these best ball streets.
Ain't nobody found a way. Fantasy redraft, they're trying. You see guys out there trying. They'll get women hosts and they'll get women involved in their content. But even still, nobody has cracked the code to get women to even getting 15 to 20% of the women in the United States to be interested in this type of content.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's something I try to do with my content, especially around my home league, is kind of turning into more of a reality show and really buying into the personalities in the league and just our friend group as a whole, and kind of separating that from the fantasy. Like, I don't think anyone really cares, like, oh, these people made this trade in week 3. Let's analyze who won this trade. Like, yeah, it's interesting to us, but I think the more interesting thing is like, oh, this guy's at work today. Like, how are we going to mess with him at work? Like, while he's on the clock, you know?
Yeah. You'll never become a mega streamer. You'll never turn this into a multi-million-dollar business if you can't get the other half of the population somewhat interested in the content you're putting out. I truly believe that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. When you were first starting out, who are, or even now, like, who are some of the other streamers or other content creators in the space that, you know, you're off the clock and you're like, you know what, let me pop in, see what they're up to. I like valuing their opinions. Who are you watching?
The first person that I was watching in regards to people making fantasy football content is the OG Matthew Berry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's the first guy that I started watching. And then I got really interested in Mason Dodd's brand, Flock Fantasy, because it inspires me and I'm very curious about how he built the following that he has, you know, because it's enormous. It's 300K subs.
Yeah, that doesn't happen by accident. You know, he must be doing something correctly. Yeah, I think Matthew Berry, like the Godfather, a lot of people got their introduction with him. I was pretty big into like Pat Mayo when I first started. I think the Fantasy Footballers is another group of people that does a good job of combining both of those worlds. And then, yeah, I think you start with like the big guys and then you find your niche within that. So that's how I ended out, you know, finding out about ship chasing and all that. But when the contest first got announced, you see Pete come out with the video, hey, I'm going to be running this reality show. What made you decide to be like, hey, you know what, this aligns with me. This is a great opportunity for me to go ahead. I think you were one of the early submitters as well.
A member of my community, man, believed in me, in me, sent me the link, said you should apply. I saw it. I saw the casting call, but I wasn't going to do it. You know, it took somebody from the community, a random stranger saying, bro, enter it. You know, I'm supporting you. I'm a consistent viewer. I think you got what it takes to do something in this competition, and doggone it, I got this far. So I guess you could say he was right.
He is. You're paying off that EV and investing in you, so that's good. How did you get your start in eBay? That was a big part of your submission. All the boxes in the background saying that you want to live the soft life. How did you start in those roads?
It started as a hobby, man. As you could, I mean, not as you can see, but I love fashion too. Right?
Okay. I can see it. I can see it.
I like wearing stuff that other people ain't wearing. Right? I like going to find hidden gems in those racks. And then it turns into now, okay, I've been thrifting a lot over these past couple of years. Now I got too much stuff. Right?
Yeah. So let me flip it. Yeah.
So now I need to flip some of this stuff so I can get more stuff. And I realized that, dude, this is pretty lucrative, right? Like, I'm flipping stuff for twice the amount, 3 times the amount that I paid for it. Let me go ahead and start a business. And my eBay store is GoofyChicken Sporting Goods. So everything is GoofyChicken, man.
Good plug. Yeah. How did you land on GoofyChicken as your online moniker?
It started, man, when I first got out of college. When I graduated from JMU, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I was gonna go start me a food truck, and I was gonna sell lemon pepper wings in the state of Virginia. That's what I was gonna do. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna have me a food truck called GoofyChicken. I started. It was a dream. I never got any backers. I never got any investors, so it couldn't really get off the ground. But it started with hustling chicken, man.
How long were you in business with that? That's so interesting.
Like I said, it never got off the ground. It was only a concept. I couldn't afford the
Okay.
truck.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big investment right there. But I think it's a super unique name.
I know that you are into marketing. Other
Yes.
than making content, is there any other? Because everybody's always interested in side hustles. Is there any other side hustles that you have going on other than what you do for your 9 to 5?
Yeah, I mean that's a really great question. I mean, yeah, I definitely pour in a lot to my job. And then outside of my job, for me, I love writing. So I write a lot in my free time, working on, books or short stories and stuff. And for me, that's a good way to kind of clear my mind at the end of the day. Like, let me just sit down with a blank piece of paper and just think for a little while. And it kind of like blocks out all the outside noise if I had like an annoying day at work or something. But when a contest like this arises, for me, it's weird because I can only pour my like identity and my soul. If I'm doing something, I'm going to do it all the way. And so I can only kind of do one side hustle at a time. It's really hard for me, for example, to like, all right, I'm going to write for 2 hours and then I'm going to make this fantasy football video after. Like, I can't really do that. So I'll go through months where I'm like, really into writing, and then I'll a couple months later, especially August when football season starts, I'm like, nah, now I got to be the commish. I got to pour everything into the league and create content for this. So that's kind of what I do outside of work. But yeah, and it's funny because I think everything kind of goes into it. Just like the way I look at certain things when I'm in a content mode versus when I'm in a writing mode. Like the music I listen to is differently. How I work out is differently. How I'm talking to people, how I'm perceiving what they're talking about it all differs based on what I'm doing with my side hustle. But I'm pretty entrepreneurial like you. I've had a couple of startups in my day that we got super far on this one idea when I was in college. Did you go on college tours? Were you always set on JMU, or did you do college tours?
I did college tours. I visited several places.
Yeah, so we had an idea that we were like, we all went through the college, me and a couple of my friends that went to UVA, we went through the college tour process, and we were like, dude, this is, they all say the same thing, like, oh, this is the great library, and like, here's our sport. And we were like, all right, they're not giving us any value. So we wanted to create the first college-based social media app where like, the idea would be if you were in college, you would sign up as a college student and you could produce content on behalf of your college. And you could also be a high schooler who enters the app, and the high schoolers couldn't post, but they could see like, we would have weekly challenges like who has the funniest science teacher, who has the best lunch menu, like stuff like that. And then you could follow a school and you could see like, how are they doing on these challenges? And we wanted to make it March Madness style. So like JMU would be going up against Arkansas in the first round, and then whoever got more votes would move on. And you could kind of follow colleges that way. And we got decently far into the process. Honestly, if the technology of today, like how easy it is to start an app, if that had been around, 6 years ago, I think we could have gone a lot further, because we had a couple guys just coding full time. And I was like, dog, y'all got to focus on your classes at a certain point. But yeah, so we were going to call it U Tour, which doubles as like you personally tour, and then U Tour as in university tour. So that was my first kind of like dabbling into the entrepreneurial space. But yeah, I can't just do my 9 to 5. I don't know about you, but I always have to have something that I'm passionate about and really striving for in my free time.
So I'm assuming 2 questions for you here. I'm assuming if you unfortunately do not win the competition, I'm assuming that the grind don't stop. You're going to keep putting out football content.
Yeah, I think this has been a great opportunity for us. This is a great example of it. You and I talking, just everyone building their connections and building their base. So I would want to keep creating content with a lot of the contestants that have gotten on this show, even if they're already out, even if they aren't to win in the end. I think we're up next. I think there's kind of like waves that go through in the fantasy space. And so the ship chasing wave has come, and they're at the top right now of their community. But I think there's an opportunity for some of us young folk to come in now and build our own communities and kind of make a name for ourselves in the space. So that's kind of what I see as the future, regardless of if I win the competition or not.
All right. And if you weren't doing football, what space would you be in regards to content?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I don't think I'd create content. I think I'd write. Honestly, I think my personality and what I'm passionate about, I think it only works in fantasy football. I don't think I could fake it for any other lane. What about yourself?
Man, if I wasn't doing fantasy, I'd probably be doing thrifting content.
Yeah, I feel like those two are like pretty related. Like, in fantasy, it's a market and you're trying to get values in the market. And, in redraft, you're trying to buy players low and sell them high. So I think you could even marry the two and do, thrifting content along with your fantasy content.
And I'll be honest with you. If I wasn't doing thrifting or fantasy content, I'd be doing TMZ, gossip. I'd be doing some I love the shallow stuff, man. I love the reality TV. I love the TMZ drama. I would be doing culture stuff like that, man. Just real shallow stuff, man. That we love drama.
Do you watch any reality shows in your free time?
Not as much as I used to, right? But because now there's just so much content out there. It's like you can't watch it all. So I got my few favorite things that I watch, but yeah, the stuff I enjoy has bumped out the reality stuff. But I used to love Housewives of Atlanta and stuff.
Yeah.
Me and my mom used to watch Housewives of Atlanta, Housewives of Potomac up there in your area. So we used to watch all that stuff, man.
Are you from Atlanta originally? Or are you from Virginia?
I'm from Atlanta originally. Yeah.
What made you decide to go to JMU?
Football. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I went there to play football, man, and it was the best decision I ever made.
You played?
Yeah. I played for JMU.
Oh shit! I didn't know that. Oh, what position were you?
Safety.
Oh, okay.
JMU had a pretty decent career, so it was cool. Yep.
Dude, that's sick. What would your player type be if you had to, compare yourself to any NFL safeties? What's your play style?
I've been asked that before, and I always say Jamal Adams because I'm not really a cover guy. I'm more of an in the box guy, supporting the run.
Yeah, you're a big hitter. Yeah, you don't want to see GoofyChicken in the hole when he has a full head of steam.
So that's my comp right there. I would say Jamal Adams from back in the day.
Do you think playing football gives you any sort of an advantage when it comes to fantasy? Like, do you understand any techniques or coaching decisions?
Yes and no. Yes, because I understand how to look at film and understand the play concepts and what that offensive coordinator is trying to do. When you watch a lot of football, you understand who has elite movement on the football field and who doesn't. But then because the analytics are out there for everybody. It's who wants to put in the most work. The numbers are out there, right? So you talk about a competitor that's in this competition, Alex Cups. He may not be a huge watcher of the game and understand what the difference between inside zone and outside zone is. But he could go there and read a spreadsheet and say, okay, this guy is elite in this metric. Right.
Yeah. He can study the tendencies and all that. So are there any play callers that you gravitate towards that you're like, oh, that guy's super sharp? Like, one thing I think in especially last year and probably going into this year is, instead of targeting players, targeting the few play callers in the NFL who are actually smart. And you have your Ben Johnsons and you have your McVays and your Shanahans and LaFleur and people like that. Like, I think target concentrating on the guys in those offenses was probably the edge last year in fantasy football. I'll be interested to see if it's the same going forward. Are there any play callers that you watch on Sunday and you're like, man, that's beautiful?
I think that's always going to be the edge in the long run, is calling guys who are great offensive play callers, because it's not a science, it's an art, and everybody don't have it. And I always say the number one play callers are in the NFC North. You got KOC, you got Ben Johnson, and you got Matt LaFleur. Dan
Campbell's not terrible. Dan Campbell, when he took over.
And Dan Campbell's an excellent play caller himself when he ended up taking over. Hopefully he found the right guy this year. But there is an elite group of play callers. And then, of course, you got those guys over there in the NFC West, and you got Sean McVay and Shanahan, which are also two elite play callers in the same division over there, too.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, like blending what you're seeing on film versus the analytics. Like getting the right balance there, I think is really good. But that's great. Cool. Well, I think that's all the questions I kind of had. Did you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
Nah, I feel good about it, man. And let's get back to what we need to do.
Yep.
We got to grind. There's high expectations for us out there. And I'm going to be honest with you. I ain't trying to let nobody down, man, because we got some folks out there rooting for us.
That's what I'm saying. We're doing it for all the fans at home. You know, we're not doing it for ourselves at the end of the day. Just like you were saying with the live chat, we're doing it for our communities and doing it for all the brothers back home. So, yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, man. All right,
you guys, hey, I'll say this. Y'all at home, you're not going to be disappointed. You can clip this. You're not going to be disappointed with what we put together.
Hey, we'll see each other on the other side, man. We got work to do. We'll see y'all later. All right.
Yep. Catch y'all.